So as I mentioned, if you are a developer or team member, it might be hard to spot the problem at the very beginning when you're working on your app, because you are not using the app in the same way as your users do. So you might need to scroll down the page for 5 minutes to see the problem. And in our case, this problem with the infinite scroll was visible mostly on mobile devices, where the resources are limited, and it, it actually triggered the task for fixing it, because that became too slow, and sometimes it was even crashing. Uh, Okay, so we knew that there is a problem, and it was caused by the infinite scroll, and it was somehow related with the amount of elements that we keep in the browser, along with too many layouts, recalculation, and repaintings, which are one of the events that happen when your browser renders the page. Yeah, and they affect the time that your browser needs to display the page. Okay, so uh, Mm, we searched for the solution, and we ended up with two very similar approaches. And the first one was to keep the DOM clean, and to keep it clean, we should remove elements which are not necessary, or we should hide not visible elements. Yeah, and if you hide elements which are not visible for the user, we are removing them from the render tree, and it means that your browser ignores them when it renders the page. And yeah, we decided to go with the second solution. And here's the algorithm, and it's really pretty straightforward. So we are adding event handler to the onScroll event, and we are checking if an element is visible on a screen or not. And if it's not, we are applying the display none property. Yeah. However, there's one more precondition that you have to satisfy. You have to know the dimension of your elements, and this is because if you are setting the display none property on your element, it will disappear. And to avoid jumping of your page, you have to preserve the space for them. So if you know the dimension upfront, you are in the best possible case. However, if you don't know them before rendering, you should also remember to cache them. And you also have to know when to invalidate the cache. And this is because if you ask the browser for the height every time a user scrolls a page, it will cost you a lot, because it will trigger recalculation of the layout. So here's visualization of the algorithm. So we are wrapping every item into another div, and we are setting the height to preserve this space when we are setting the display none, when it's not visible. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so there's a better version of this algorithm, and the only difference is that you don't have to iterate over each element in your list, so we can group them into batches, and the rest of the algorithm stays the same, and your performance is even better. And I recorded a short video that shows how the DOM waves page. Yeah, and that's pretty it. So I wanted to show you this algorithm to show you that uh, it's not very difficult to implement, and it will help you to improve your application. And in our case, it improves scrolling a lot. So yeah, that's it. Does anyone have any question?
I have a question. Is that solution available somewhere?
Yes, there are libraries which you can use right away. So in our case, we implemented it on our own. Yeah, but if you are using React, there is a package that you can use, and you will have a component that will do the same thing for you.
Okay, but what made you decide not to use any of those ready
Uh,
scripts?
in our product, okay, so well, they work a bit different because they remove the elements from the DOM, but we are not removing them from the DOM. We are just setting this display non-property, so we don't have to remove the components. So we are keeping the state. Another reason was that we are not using npm, and updating it is pretty tough, and implementing it was pretty easy, I would say. So I'm not sure if this answers your question, but yeah.
Yeah, it does. Thanks.